The Guildhall stands in the centre of Salisbury, and it's one of the city's most famous landmarks, but not many people know too much about the history of the building. Luckily, over this Halloween half-term, tales of the dark and spooky history behind the Guildhall awaited all those who were brave enough to step inside.
Obviously, in a building like this is the fourth Guildhall that's been on this site. Originally it was the Bishop's Guildhall back in the 1300s. So you've got the best part of 700 years of people working and living and being tried here, sentenced to death here. So a fascinating building. There's been quite a few incidents over the years. We were looking at some of the stories that people have told and passed down over the period. There's been some major decisions made in this building over the years as well, and some amazing court cases. There was the court case, of course, of Teddy Haskell, with a young boy in Salisbury who was murdered by, they thought it was his mother, although his mother was acquitted in the end. So yes, it's been a very interesting place over the years.
There were more than just stories shared on these ghost tours, as groups were taken all around the Guildhall into areas and rooms that are usually off limits to the public.
Well, we've been in virtually every room in the Guildhall. We started here in this Guildhall foyer. There's been a couple of stories, particularly of youngsters. There was a terrible story of a young girl who fell off the balcony above us and was killed on the flagstones here. And people have heard children laughing and small footprints in this area. We've been down to the cells, which apparently, according to the paranormal group, was one of the most active areas. A lot of sounds from the past they could hear, and of course a lot of stories of people who've been held in those cells. We've been up into the courtroom, into the banqueting suites. All of them have tales of some sort of activity, either knocking on the doorways or knocking on tables. One or two people have heard names being mentioned just in the air. They've stayed here all night investigating. So we've been to all those spots and tried to track down some of those stories that have come down to us.
These days, many of us associate Halloween with our American cousins across the pond. But according to Steve, the holiday has a rich history in the UK too.
A lot of people think Halloween comes from America and it's something that we've imported. But in actual fact, in Tudor times, young children were doing trick-or-treat then, in Tudor times. And the Irish particularly took it on board as well because they have a strong Celtic culture. And when Irish people moved to the States during the famine and other sort of times of trouble over there, the Americans picked up on it. But the roots of Halloween go right back into our ancient past. And it's just a very deep festival.
For those who were lucky enough to secure a place on one of the Guildhall's limited ghost tours this year, Guide Steve offered not just an interesting history of the building's past, but of the roots of Halloween too. Oliver Browning, That's TV.